Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to the complete recovery of Masha Bas Batsheva. There's a legend told of a Jewish guy, we'll call him Yankel. He wants to borrow an axe from his friend. So he trudges to his friend's house, but he lives up the hill, so he's going there. And while he's going, he's already thinking in his own mind how the conversation is gonna go. He said, oh, my friend's gonna open the door. I'm gonna say, can I borrow your axe? He's gonna say, I don't know. You weren't nice to me the other week. Then I'm gonna say, but I really need it, I'm sorry. And then he's gonna say, I can't be the whole day without my axe. And in his mind, he's going back and forth, and he gets all heated up that when his friend opens the door, Yanko just says, I don't need you or your axe. And then it turns around and leaves. And the guy's like, I don't even know, right? He has no idea what he's talking about. And this is something we do sometimes when we're faced with a challenge or we're inspired to do something positive. We can sometimes get into our own minds and defeat ourselves, defeatist mentality, What's gonna go wrong? What if this happens? What if that happens? And we lose the will to even try before we even do anything. We've already convinced ourselves what could go wrong, what will go wrong. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Shelach, we have the famous story of the 12 spies. The Jews are ready to enter the land of Israel. And they send in 12 spies to scout it out. And they come back with an extremely negative report, they ended by saying, we're not gonna be able to conquer it. And this causes chaos and panic in the Jewish nation. And they start questioning Moshe's leadership, and they say, we don't wanna be here. Let's get out of here, let's go back to Egypt. And the Torah points out there was two exceptions to these spies. There was Kalev and Yehoshua. Yehoshua, who later succeeded Moshe, and Kalev. And Kalev stood up and said, hear now about Moshe, silence. Hear now about Moshe. We can overcome, we can definitely overcome. And Rashi, the foremost commentary, says, what does Moses have? Why did he bring Moshe into this? And he says he was using the bait and switch. He says, everybody's pissed off about Moshe right now. They're yelling, Moshe, Moshe, Moshe. So he said, you know what else Moshe did? And everybody became quiet, oh yeah, let's hear something negative. But instead of saying something negative, he said, he split the Red Sea. He gave us manna from heaven. He brought the quail. Moshe has been a part of so many miraculous events. Have you guys all forgotten about that? And for a moment, it seemed to work. People were like, oh, what are we doing? But then the 10 spies again started speaking negatively about the land. And the end of the story wasn't good. God got really upset and punished the whole generation that they had to wander the desert for the next 40 years, and only their children were allowed to enter the land of Israel. But going back to Kalev for a second, he brought up these 3 specific scenarios, that Moshe was part of splitting of the Red Sea, bringing manna from heaven, and the quail. Why these 3? Moses had a long resume. Why did he choose these 3 things that took place? And they say this because there was 3 things that the Jewish people were mainly scared of. One is that the nations in the land of Israel were really strong. The second thing was that the nation of Amalek lived there, and they already had trauma when Amalek attacked them earlier. And the third thing they were afraid of was that there were things that they knew God had promised them the land of Israel. But until they got there were so many things that could go wrong along the way. Are we even gonna get there? What could go wrong? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this nation? They already had so many what ifs, this defeatist mentality that we were talking about. And this is something we do ourselves. We can be inspired to do something good. Imagine somebody's inspired to keep Shabbat for 25 hours without any electronics, the way it's meant to be kept. And they say, oh, what if my friends are going out tonight? I'm gonna have FOMO. What if this happens? What if somebody from work tries to contact me? We already defeated it before it begins. And in many aspects of life, we do this. We find all the negatives which discourage us from even trying to do something good. What was Kalev's answer? We're just going to focus on this last thing, the third dilemma that they had. What is going to happen to us along the way? And Kalev answered, didn't God perform all these miracles? Didn't he bring us manna from heaven? Not in the land of Israel, here in the desert, on the way, on our travels. He didn't forget about us. He's been taking care of us every step of the way. We have miraculous food falling down from the sky every day. On our travels, not when we're even in the land. So stop with the defeatist what ifs. God is always with us. He's with us every step of the way. And we have to, it's such an important lesson that we have to take to heart, that God has so much faith in us and trust in us and trust in you. And we have to have that same belief in ourselves, the same way God had trust in us. because He's with us every step of the way. Shabbat Shalom.